Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports Sleeper Picks. It did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Brian, Josh, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the finals. And boys, I sat here and patted myself on the back for liking the Celtics when they're down 3-0. Man, I could not have been more wrong about last night. Miami jumps them from the start. Never really a game, and Miami is headed to the finals. Brian, we haven't heard from you in a couple of days, so just give me kind of your
Yeah.
takeaways from the game and where you're at with everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's kind of where I was thinking last night, like it's even one of those things with the Celtics got the early lead, like the really early lead, the first 5 minutes before the timeout, they were up 9-4, I think. So I was like, okay, still close, but they're starting to kind of look a little different. And then there was like a 12-0 run in that first quarter by Miami, and it just never recovered. I think it was one of those things where we all kind of like Boston, and not even like you will, but I saw like mostly a lot of Boston fans on Twitter, and I don't know if you saw there was like some like rap song that came out, like an edit about like the Celtics. It was kind of funny that I feel like a lot of people on the Boston side almost felt like it was like calling it over, like the greatest comeback of all time after Game 6. And I wonder if like I don't think the team saw it as that way, but man, they came out looking like they thought it was over too because they were so flat like that entire game.
Dude, I told you before the show started, Will, to go easy on yourself because Jason Tatum injured his ankle on the first play of the game, dude. As soon as we saw that, I can't watch that. I would rather watch like a human beheading on television than like the ankle just turn under because I've just done it too many
Yeah.
times at this point, like even just walking across the street. But like that was it. There was no more offense. He took 13 shots. He couldn't get by anybody. He hit 1 3, which was nice. I was like, how is he? You can't shoot a 3 without your ankle either, by the way. It's really, really hard. You need to lift off of something.
Right.
So all that was like impressive. And he definitely wanted to make sure that the narrative after this game was not Jason Tatum soft. And he played through it as best as he could. But he's far and away their best player. Jaylen Brown probably played himself out of $50 million
Oh,
a year.
Yeah,
Um,
that was my
Marcus
main
Smart
point.
missed the 6 threes he took. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon was hurt, but like that's kind of becoming the story of Malcolm Brogdon as like great regular season player, not really meant for the postseason. Apparently, Grant Williams was hurt as well. And if Papa Al Horford shooting threes was their comeback solution, like they were effed. Like that was never going to be
Yeah.
a game. So I think you would have saw a different outcome, dude. I do. I think it would have been a lot different. I think anybody who had hit 1,200 plus 1,200 for Tatum to be the MVP when they were of this series when they were down was gonna win that money, and that just it was just robbed from us. I'll still say like kudos to a number of the guys on the Heat, but like there were some guys as well on the Heat that the moment was a little bit too big for, I thought, and like that was a little bit telling. Definitely not Jimmy Butler, but a few other guys. So either way, like yeah,
You can
don't
just
feel
say
too bad about losing
you
that
can
bet. You were
you
right.
can
You still look wicked smart as far as I'm concerned.
You could just say that Bam looked a little off. I feel like that was what
oh
you're
my
hinting at
God.
That
there.
was my
Yeah.
underhanded
Yeah.
pointing at him. Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway from that is kind of what you hinted at there, and I'm glad you said it because if you look at his overall season, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I think it's like 220 to like 190. Like Jalen Brown's assist to turnover ratio this year was really bad. And then last night when Tatum was kind of hobbled and he had to handle the ball more, would he have 8 turnovers? It was just really highlighted. Like I think all year he always had these issues, and his assist turnover issue was like kind of near the end of the league. But last night when they relied on him to be more of that on-ball guard, it was highlighted to the point where it was tough to watch. Like it was almost like Smart would give that entry pass to him and then he would try to drive, and you almost could just guarantee the possession would end there because he just kept losing it every single time. It was rough.
if if NBA players were forced to fill out job applications like regular people, and one of the questions was, "Can you dribble?" Jalen Brown would not be able to check the yes pad,
Yeah.
and it's unbelievable. I've never seen. Maybe he's dealing with some hand injury, some finger injury. Boy, that was hard to
He would
watch.
put like choose not to answer or something.
Choose not to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when
I,
you're asked if you've been convicted of a crime, yes, no. Choose not to answer. Absolutely,
Yeah,
choose not to answer.
Yeah,
pretty
I think
definitive.
it's one of those things too where, like I kind of mentioned, with Smart and Tatum, he really didn't never had to be the guy to, handle the ball as much. So like, you see on the box score, it's like, okay, 2 turnovers. What's that? That's nothing in the grand scheme of the game. But if it's 2 turnovers on 6 drives, like last
Right.
night when he was tasked with the responsibility, it just looked, it was a really rough watch. Even if you're a Heat fan, I'm sure like you liked it in the sense, but if you're a basketball fan, that was just a hard watch to
There,
see him
there-
try to net.
there's something to him, dude, where it's like, what is the thing about him that makes you go like he's just not it? To me, it's watching him play. He's going 1-on-4, right? And what I mean by that is not just like he's trying to dribble into a crowd, which he does a lot. Like he doesn't know how to play with his teammates. He's either driving and looking to score, period, whether it's within the flow of the offense or not, or right, like he's just standing on the side and he's basically James Harden at that point, which
Yeah.
might be his teammate in Houston next year, which would be wildly interesting
Yeah.
to see. But
I think
I think they're I don't think they need to blow it up over there in Boston. I mean, that's obviously the
yeah.
conversation in Boston, and we'll talk more about, I'm sure, Miami and Denver here in a sec. But just to kind of close my thoughts on Boston, like if you have to pay Jaylen Brown that much money, I would let that go. You have some decision making to make because Papa Al has like maybe a year left, right? And then he's done. So, and then how do you bring back Grant Williams? So they have a lot of stuff to figure out with their roster if they want to kind of do the like Belichick style, like get rid of a few stars for a lot of second tier players and then make that your sort of system. I don't think they have the coaching for that is the problem. So we'll see what they do. But Tatum's their guy, no matter what, live or till the end at this point. He's going to get every max he can from the Celtics. So
yeah, I think it answers the question too, where Jaylen Brown yesterday kind of showed where it's like how much money do you want to spend for? I don't want to like disregard him just for like one game because I still like Jaylen Brown like overall in the season, but it comes down to almost like the Klay Thompson thing. It's like Klay Thompson had Steph Curry his whole career and all this. It's like you're basically getting a catch and shoot 3-and-D kind of player, and it's like how much do you want to pay for that? Because if you're gonna give a guy a max, you kind of hope your guard could be a two-way and also dribble a basketball. So it kind of answers like it kind of puts a lot of questions out there. Whereas how much money are you willing to pay for a guy that you look at what Caleb Martin this series played great, and he makes a lot less money than Jaylen Brown. I'm not saying I want to put that out there in the universe saying like I would take him 100% all the time, but it answers a lot. It puts a lot of those questions in Boston's mind for the offseason.
yeah.
We talked about Caleb Martin. I think, what was it, 38-1 on FanDuel yesterday to win conference finals MVP. If you took that, man, that's a tough one. I understand the frustration. You bet that things go almost perfectly and you still don't win. I think a little bit too much was made. People like, oh, Martin got screwed. You could have certainly given it to him. It was a 5-4 vote in favor of Butler. I kind of think Butler 51-49 deserved it just because he was great games 1 and 2. And I think the reason Martin was able to go off is Butler commands so much attention. Remember, he was great on defense those first 2 games. I had no problem giving it to Butler. I probably wouldn't have had a problem giving it to Martin. To me, it was a coin flip. I get people are frustrated. You take a shot at a big number and you lose on that kind of thing. I get it. I'm curious what you guys thought. Who do you think deserved it and what were your take?
Let me ask you a quick question to either of you guys before that goes along with it, which is like, if Jimmy Butler didn't score 9 points in the fourth quarter at the very end when the game was completely over and ended with like 21, and let's say, and Caleb had 26, does that sort of change things in your mind?
It definitely makes it look prettier on the box score. I can give you that much. Yeah, I think a lot of the uproar too is a guy we talked about before on the show where it was like Reggie on the broadcast says that Caleb Martin was the best player in this series, and then he voted for Jimmy Butler. So it's like those kind of things where I think people were just a little upset with how some of the voting went. But yeah, I do think with Will's point is that even without those 9 points, I think it was closer than like people are like thinking, because I think sometimes if people have those big tickets, they think a little bit more biasly with it. But I think both could have gone either way.
Yep, I think it was a total coin flip. And again, Butler's still Butler. Like, if you gave Boston truth serum and said, hey, we can take one guy off the floor for this entire series, would you want us to get rid of Martin? You want us to get rid of Butler? I would have said, hey, get rid of Butler. So I know Martin was great, and he was great. And man, that's got to be tough if you're a Hornets fan to watch that and think, man, we got rid of this guy. We kept his brother. What the hell are we doing? It's just great job by the Heat to identify the talent. And anyone who follows college, remember, he was really good in college. Go ahead.
Yeah, are people kicking the tires on Cody Martin in the hopes that maybe he'll just all of a sudden?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is you can kind of like not say it's the same comparison, but it's just like in the Western Conference, like Jokic won it, but Jamal Murray did score like 32 points a game. So it's one of those things too where it's the same thing where it's not discrediting what Martin did or what Murray did. It just comes down to who do you think had more overall effect, whether it's just being a decoy or commanding that attention, whatever it is. It just kind of comes down to the different levels of things.
All right, we got a pretty good finals here. We got Denver now. This is actually, I should say, it's a huge price for a finals. Denver laying minus 400.
Have you bet anything yet, Josh? I know I bet something, so I kind of like cover it real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I was gonna say on DraftKings, I actually put it in already. I took Aaron Gordon, 10+ points paired with Nikola Jokic, 9+ assists. It's -105. I think that might move. By time like what we have 2 days into the game, I think getting it near close money, I think it might move a little bit. Whether it's the Aaron Gordon side or the Jokic side, I just think we kind of talked about it before the show. We did our prep. This is a game where Bam Adebayo has to guard Jokic, whether or not he's effective. He hasn't been effective before in his guarding of Jokic, but Nikola Jokic not only has he scored well against Bam in like their 3 meetings, he has like I have it right here in front of me. He had 25 assists in 44 minutes when Bam is primary defender in his first 3 matchups. Not saying that goes too much into it because it's such a small sample size, but this just seems like one of those games where if Bam comes out a little bit from the paint to kind of match up with Jokic, those weak side cuts, which is the entire production of Aaron Gordon at this point in his career for the most part, it should be open all the time. The Heat don't have the size to really match up with Gordon at the rim, so I feel like we're going to see a lot of those like patented Jokic post ups where he just finds Aaron Gordon on those cuts to the rim.
Do we have Brad? Is
it,
Brad
yeah.
with us?
Yeah, Brad's
I'm
on the
here,
screen
baby.
now.
What's up,
Yeah.
y'all?
Brad, what's
Brad,
going on,
Jamal
man?
Murray, Thomas.
Man,
Jump in. What do you got? Denver, Miami. Anything for the series? Anything for game one? What are your sort of takeaways here?
oh yeah, I went ahead and locked in Denver at -8 for the first game. It's up to 8.5 now. It's just going to be so tough for Miami to come off Game 7, then have to travel to Denver. Even if Miami win the first half, I don't think that physically the 7-man rotation is going to be able to put up 4 quarters of really quality basketball. Like you guys said, they're going to have no answer for Jokic. I actually like him as top point scorer. You can get that around 10-1 on FanDuel. That's top point scorer for the entire series.
Yeah.
There. Like it for me, it would be like the only way that doesn't happen is if he's in foul trouble 2 of the games and they win in 4. You know.
Yeah.
Wait,
I think it's
what are the odds for that?
10
Plus
to 1.
110.
For
Plus
him to be
110.
I mean, plus 110. It's almost even money.
Got you.
Okay, see,
plus
you said 10 to
110.
1, and I was very confused. I'm
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I
thought
was just talking golf, and I was talking about Patrick Cantlay 10-1.
Yeah.
So it's just probably all
It's all good.
Juicy numbers in your head.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's interesting that well, I guess Anthony Davis was in the last series, but I took Jokic at -110 to be the leading rebounder in that series. Like that was crazy. Now it's like -2,000 for him
I
to
saw
be the
that.
leading rebounder
I heard
in
that
this
on,
series.
on,
So
on,
like probably not going that route. I mean,
I
I'll
heard
just
that on a
quickly
podcast. I
bring-
was listening to it. It's -2,000 for assist and for rebounds.
for turnovers, yeah, as I was looking at too, which is dumb. But I'll just take a quick moment to continue patting myself on the back for like betting this Nuggets to win the championship ticket as a stock that just kept going in my favor.
Yeah, that was great.
Right, like, and I said it right as I really thought about it, and then convinced myself to do it while we were talking about it as Boston was still down 3-0, and I was like, every game Boston wins just moves this ticket more in my favor. I'll just keep hitting it. So now it's not good anymore because the Celtics didn't make it to keep this ticket now at like minus whatever. You know, it's crazy. So from this point on, like I'm just kind of thinking about stuff like Jokic. There's a couple props that I like Caleb Martin to just get 10 or more rebounds in any game in this series is even money. So it's like, I mean, I've seen him get 15 and like 12 and a bunch of those in a series against a pretty good Celtics rebounding team. So I feel pretty good about that one. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess from game to game, I'll just keep hitting the Nuggets. Like I'm agree with you about taking the points for sure in game 1 there, Brad. Cause like, yeah, coming off game 7, letdown, etc. It's just gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to like stick with Denver in the second half, especially.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned those like series props. I think they're kind of interesting. I haven't checked it in a while, but going before this series, I mentioned Aaron Gordon. I think he could be a decent in this series. There's like one where it was like any game for 20+, it was like plus 150 or something like that. Like I think that's kind of fun to root for because any single game you can kind of just hope they have like that one extra like performance. So I think those are kind of fun to look at.
Yeah.
Seeing a Bet365. I don't know if you guys have looked at series score here. Denver plus 575 to sweep.
Wow.
That's the best price for it, right? Yeah.
That's not too bad, man.
They're saying that Denver is least likely to sweep them than the Celtics were.
Yeah.
Denver. Yeah. Well, I
Because
mean,
wasn't it like plus 400 for the Celtics
Yeah.
to sweep Miami?
yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is
Well, I
this
mean,
is-
Miami's getting upgraded a little bit. I mean, Miami's finally earning a little bit of respect in terms of, hey, you
Yeah.
got to give them a game. But man, it's a tough spot. They're going to be tired. I think this is a good matchup. Just On the surface here for Denver, I think Gordon can be a good body to throw at Butler with his size, his length, his strength. He's used to playing Butler. Remember, he used to be on the Magic in that division, in the Southeast division. So I think once you play Butler a while, you get used to the pump fakes, you get used to all the things he does to draw fouls. Yep. So I think that's a good matchup for Gordon. And we're going to have a couple days to spend on this matchup. I like Butler under points for game 1. I could see a scenario where Denver just runs out and Miami takes the foot off the gas into the third quarter. And I don't know that Miami is a great matchup for Murray either. I think Vincent's a little too short. I think Duncan Robinson, those guys are a little too slow. I don't know that they have the long perimeter athletes in terms of defenders to shut down Murray. I like Denver in this series.
I think real quick, too, you should hit that 4-0 on Bet365 on Prince. Like on DraftKings alone, it's plus 380 for the sweep for Denver. So it's like that's some pretty good price discrepancy there.
Yeah, I think
shop around.
I think we also, which is you can use our sponsor, Pickett Sports, to shop around for all the line.
There we go.
What a plug!
What a plug!
Kids ready. That's $56, 56 cents in my pocket now. But no, I was gonna say was that we kind of talked about last year's a lot, where the biggest issue that the Lakers had with this Nuggets team is they just didn't have the length to put up with this starting five with like Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, they have so much length.
Big. They're so
and
big.
now that was the biggest issue the Lakers had in this series. And now they get the Heat, which is just like a nightmare because at least the Celtics have the size to match up. They can play two bigs. The Heat don't have a lineup they don't have a big lineup.
No.
Like
they don't. They don't even play a big lineup.
And they started to abandon some of their bigs with Zeller and Love.
Like, even if they wanted to play big, they really just don't have like a set lineup for it. Yeah, I mean, is there odds for what's Haslam's points in the first game?
Well, no, we got to start with Omer Yurtseven.
He might play. He honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they try he might see a few rotations.
What's Yurtseven double?
Yeah,
what's Jovic? What's the guy Jovic?
Jovic, yeah.
Jovic.
Wait, what's up with this 219 total in game 1? It's the finals that everybody clenches up. Maybe the Nuggets score like 115, but do you think that the Heat are going to score 105?
It's so tough because we saw with the Lakers series too, where the Nuggets can totally just abandon a defensive presence and have these track meets, but then on the other side, the Heat play like a snail's pace, and it's like two different cultures going against each other. I feel like they don't know how to set the total with these two opposite teams, really.
Where do you think this game 1 line closes? We're starting to see some 9s pop up. Bet online hung a 6 for a second. I tried to log in, bet it moved to 7. I still got 7. I didn't give it out. It was only at Bet online, but man, 6 is a nice number. Where do you think it closes?
I gotta say 9.5. I think that we're gonna see a lot more steam coming through, especially we haven't even got to the thick of it where all of these betting experts or shows are talking about the fatigue factor.
Yeah,
we're still so high on Miami. These dudes literally got in a plane last night.
1 o'clock in the morning, going to Denver. You think they went home? You think they went to Miami first, or you think they stopped in Denver, or they're going right to Denver?
Didn't they have a flight?
Yeah, they flight straight to Denver.
There was a story about how the Celtics weren't.
They did it beforehand.
Miami was.
He did.
Well, yeah, because Boston will be playing at home, so they don't need to buy a ticket to Denver. That was a dumb story, but either way, that was what was going to happen. I'm with you about the fatigue. I'm kind of thinking under. The only thing that scares me is I agree that the Nuggets are going to try to run them out of the gym from the start, but it's still probably going to slow down a bit at the end. I think 219 is high, and there's no way that the game 2 total is close to that, in my opinion. If it is, I'll just go way under, but and take an alt under. But yeah, to answer your question too, I think it's going to move up a point. Steam is going to start rolling for sure. And it's going to move in Denver's favor as people are just going to continue listening. People be like, take the points.
I can't see it going past 10. Maybe it gets to 10. I think at 10, you'd start to see some pro buyback where it's like, all right, man, it's game 1 of the finals.
It's double digits,
10.5 and get it down.
And double digits is one of those things too, where if you see double digits, not even just pros, just a lot of other people will just be like, all right, 11, that's it just feels high.
What number would you guys need on Miami if I told you right now, hey, you can bet Miami? I'll just leave it like that. What number?
10.5. 10.5.
I'll go 10. I'll go 10 with the push. I would probably look into.
See, I didn't want to play for the push. I thought it was a 10-point victory is pretty.
But I'm saying that's when I would probably start to feel a lot more comfortable backing a team in that way.
And that's a quasi key number two, where it's like, all right, if we're down 10, 30 seconds left, you dribble the clock out, we dribble the clock out, and we get out of there. Nobody's going to foul down 10. So, yeah, I think 10, 10.5 is where I would have interest in Miami. I might still buy back a little bit on Miami. I got a nice little -7 in my pocket, and I'll try to, if it's 10, 10.5, I'll probably take a shot at 10.
The one thing that the Heat have in their favor in terms of, like, we saw it yesterday, and I meant to text Will last night, but I just forgot. But when the Celtics were down, they were shooting at one point 3 for 18 from three, and my first thought was, wow, this NBA really can come down to the 3-point variance, where like at any given point, the Houston Rockets can beat the Denver Nuggets just solely because they're hitting their threes and their team's not. Like, because there's just so much high volume of threes now that if you have one game, like in a game 7 where you just aren't hitting them, it just goes so downhill for a team, no matter who you're playing, which is crazy.
I do think once again, I think Jason Tatum just not being available in its full sense of the word, like the 3-point shooting is so affected by the one dude who can take 3 guys on and is so long and athletic that, like, he's laying it in from standing on the foul line damn near, right? So, like, that's a tough dude to stop, and once that happens, like, it's so easy to get that ball moving. Everybody's threes, even like, there was a lot of them taken. Everybody's threes that were pretty well covered. Like, you didn't see much wide open. Derek White hit 2 where they were nearly blocked. They were playing such good D on D White before he got hurt. So, like, I do want to credit the Miami defense, but, like, there's not much you can do when the focal point of your offense, especially when the other 1B in terms of Jaylen Brown is just doing as awfully as he was, turning it over, etc. Like, yeah, the variance for sure, but there is some stuff that went into it that I think was impacted by Jay Tatum. And in this series, like, I think you're going to see 2 really well-oiled machine offenses. Just one has so much more in its arsenal than Miami does, right? In Denver, that, like, they're both. I think at times Miami has been good when it's been playing fast-paced. It's just they don't have the bodies anymore, and Denver's just so much bigger while faster at the same time.
I'm surprised Jaylen Brown didn't try to drive into the hoop at all.
Jaylen Brown decided that at the beginning of the shot clock, I'm gonna shoot a contested 3 90% of the time.
You missed the earlier talk where we were just talking about how Jaylen Brown probably can't put dribbling on his NBA resume, where he just cannot maneuver. So,
I wouldn't endorse him for that skill on LinkedIn. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Anything Finals MVP, Jokic -320, Butler +330, basically just proxies for their team to win the series. A little cheaper on Jokic. Murray is 12-1. I need more than that. Anyone you want to make a case for? Caleb Martin 50-1.
Can you get him 17-1, Murray? I think I found that.
I don't see him at DraftKings unless, look, there's so many markets that you have to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's just +17 on 1700.
On which book?
On DraftKings.
I don't know why I'm not seeing it on DraftKings.
Yeah.
What else do you have for finals odds there? What is it under? Because I'm under futures and I'm under awards, and I'm not seeing.
Oh, no, you go to the NBA Finals tab, and then there's, like, little options underneath NBA Finals, like champion and player milestone, exactly.
Okay.
Finals MVP.
Yeah. Is there a way you can buy? You can bet Nikola Jovic and hope there's, like, a misprint on the award. Like, what are the odds on that? I'll take that.
If I spend 5 minutes and I can't find your market is not clear enough. Like, there should be a separate category. Like, I went to futures, I went to awards. It should be. There's too many moving parts on this site.
Yeah,
especially because FanDuel's so easy with it. When you go to NBA, it's games,
Yes.
NBA Finals, and it's all right there. Yeah.
Think of how many people aren't going to bet it just because they miss it.
Can't find
people are going to look for 30 seconds and give up.
I wonder if I often wonder if the books are doing that on purpose, because it's just like, you just want everyone to keep betting the things that, like, the total and the lines and all these core bets. Maybe. But, like, why do you have them if you just don't want people to play? You only want the people who spend the time to, like, earn it. It's just weird. But
I just think sometimes these books just don't know. Like, they put it on there. Like, I have a lot of friends who work in development, and like, they always complain. They're like, the user experience is so bad because you have these higher ups pushing these objectives. They don't actually go on there and utilize the stuff.
100%. 100%. Anybody want to make a case for anything? Murray's down out of 14.
He just went down to 14.
Murray would be the only one I would take, because we saw what happened with the Caleb Martin disrespect.
Is it worth it at 14-1 though? To me, it's not.
Murray, no.
Well, you gotta like play it out in terms of, like, what if the Nuggets win, right? Like, what's the world in which Nikola doesn't win the award? Because I think, especially after, like, Jimmy wins the award somewhat I think based on the fact that even though Caleb Martin looked so good at times and was so clutch at times, like, Jimmy Butler's impact is so much that like the team isn't what it is without him. It could be what it is without Caleb Martin, and maybe not in this series, but you get the point, right? Like he's more important. So with Jokic, like a part of Murray's success will always be attributed to Jokic, which just makes it so hard to take a guy who's not Nikola, who's not Jimmy Butler at this point. And Jimmy at plus 330 is basically like the same. It's you get for taking the Heat to win the series at this point, right? So it's doesn't seem worth it.
Anything to add, Brian?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was just a little distracted because I was looking at some of these other markets like 3-point leader, this and that. But yeah, I think we kind of saw it with what we kind of just brought with the Western Conference, where I kind of mentioned the idea with Murray and Jokic, and the same thing with Martin and Butler, is that we see it in NFL where it's like the quarterback gets most of the time. But the same thing kind of here where no matter who is doing well on, say, the Denver Nuggets, it's always going to tie back to, oh, yeah, but Jokic brought in that coverage or Jokic made that outlet pass. So I think it's hard to kind of make the case the other way.
It's like the quarterback in the Super Bowl. It's like, all right, Travis Kelce had a big game. Well, who was throwing the ball? Mahomes. And, this running back had a good game because they're worried about Mahomes throwing the ball. I think it's sort of similar to that. All right, we could do stat leaders tomorrow. I mean, we'll have plenty of time to go through all these, and there's plenty of markets. Anything else you guys are betting today? Any other sports?
Dude, after we talked baseball yesterday, I hit the Braves to win the World Series at plus 400. I was looking at it, and I also hit the Stros to win the division because of some of the stuff that they struggle with early, and I think they'll come back against that Rangers team. But I was just like continuing to look at the Braves, and I did it right before they lost, which was something I also wanted to bet last night.
It was a tough travel spot. I guess they got into Oakland at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and they had to play like a 5 o'clock Pacific afternoon game, and they were up early, so maybe it mattered, maybe it didn't.
But Soroka was coming back from like a long absence. That was tough.
Yeah.
But either way, like it just also made me feel better about it. I was like, whatever. This team is so freaking stacked, and they really like their guys come to play at this point. You got a couple guys coming back from injury as well.
They are stacked.
And the same thing with the Astros. So I didn't want to throw that out there, but Brad, do you have any golf bets you want to share here?
Yeah, I do. All right, let me pull these over. So I went ahead and took Victor Hovland at 20-1. I'm going to play him in the top 20 market as well. It'll probably this week, I'd imagine it'll be closer to 175. I have a fair price minus 200. I know people don't like betting juice. Last week,
wait, 175? You mean plus 175?
No, I got him plus. I got him plus 2,000 to win top 20 market. It's probably going to be 175. I didn't shop that yet.
Okay. I
say fair price would be minus 200. Last week, I got a lot of people heckling me because I played him at minus 150 for 2 units. Similar setup as the last two courses he's played. He plays really well at hard courses, ball striker course, a course where you need to be good off the tee. I'm putting a little bit on Corey Connors just because he's been such a great ball striker. By a little bit, I mean like a quarter of a unit. It'll still pay out over 10 units if you end up winning that. And listen, you got to find ways to play Rory and got to find ways to play Cantlay. 2 different reasons. Cantlay sets up the best here out of any golfer, but it's hard to get really invested when you have guys like Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm, who, if you want to look at some of the comp courses like a Waste Management, who play so well at these courses where you can miss the fairway a little, but if you miss the fairway like by a wide margin, you're going to be kind of screwed, and the greens are going to be really hard. So you need to get up and down around the greens because they're going to be firm and fast. It's probably going to dry out even more. So like, even though Rory's not playing good, he's going to be, I'd imagine 18-1 by the time we get to Wednesday, which means if you can find a parlay leg that you like that can get him to 30, all you need is something that pays out minus 110 to get him close to 30. It's worth it. And then Patrick Cantlay, I can't put a price on him at 10-1. I can't agree with that price, but he's a guy you've got to find a way to get action on just because of how good he is at this course. He's played it 2 years now since the renovation, 1 win, and then like a T3. And he's playing the best golf out of guys not named John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler. But, with these live guys not being in the tournament, the prices kind of stink. So it's hard to get 10-1. Hard for me to get down on a guy 10-1, especially a guy who doesn't win 25% of the time.
Yeah, I like all that, and I like the ability to like fade Rahm when it makes sense because you can kind of bank on him shanking it a bit.
Rahm's interesting. Rahm's interesting because if this was Rahm 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I'm hammering Rahm as a solo. But then when I go and pull up the numbers and I look at the advanced metrics, Rahm is 56th in the field in fairways gained. Like, that is a horrible statistic. This rough here at Muirfield Village is really thick and grabby, just like the PGA Championship. Jon Rahm finished 50th at the PGA Championship because he couldn't get his ball in the fairway. And I know if anybody can turn that around 1 week, 2 weeks, Jon Rahm. But it's just, if you want to fade him, there's reason to.
And this is the Memorial this weekend. Is next week US Open or 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, baby.
What's in between? Am I missing one?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know what it is off either.
I could tell you in a second.
Brian, anything else you got?
Well, I just know it's funny because I used my boost on Cantley last time, and I'm pretty sure the Goldboys Discord just absolutely hates this guy collectively ever since that one glitch that was there. And I think it's always funny that when I saw this tournament, I saw 10-1. I texted Ryan props, and I was like, this fucking guy, like.
Cantley's Cantley's probably gonna tease us all season. He's gonna go win the BMW. He's gonna win the Tour Championship, and everyone's gonna be like, "We knew it all along. We knew it all along." And his prices are going to be insane by then. Like, they're going to be like 8-1. And imagine you have to pay 8-1 on the guy to win the BMW. You'd be like, yeah, right.
I did baseball. I did bet Arizona team total. I think I'm going to take first 5 over 2.5. The roof is going to be open there, so the ball is going to be flying. I'm not sure that's accounted for in the market. I don't want to play the full game total because Gowan's pitching, but Arizona team total against Freeland. That's a fun team. That's a fun offense. I don't think their bullpen's good enough to actually do anything. But
I like that.
They're a fun
love
team.
that team.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was actually looking at like a Gallon, like 6 strikeout and win too, because it was like plus 110 when I saw it earlier.
Yeah.
But the only thing I played, and I kind of mentioned before the show, was I took the Texas Rangers first 5 money line against the Tigers. It's one of those ones I'm a little concerned about. In the first 5 innings, the Rangers are averaging almost 4 runs in the first 5 innings, and the Tigers are like 2.2. So it's one of those ones where it's a little scary that the price is so good. It's minus 115 on FanDuel. But the pitching matchup is pretty even, and this offense is just so fun. So
it's so stacked.
Yeah, like they just produce.
They're fun to watch. Yeah, they're
so
really
you're telling me if they just need to push in the first 5 innings with the Tigers, and I don't lose money. I feel like that's not a bad spot.
And DeGrom is supposed to be back within the next 2 or 3 years, so that should be good for Texas.
Hate that man.
All right.
Yeah.
Josh, Brad, Brian will be back tomorrow. We'll do plenty of finals. We'll do plenty of everything else. Appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you to Pickett Sports, Sleeper Picks. Check them out. You got to do that. Until then, good luck with all your plays. We will see you tomorrow.